So The Boys season 4 just recently finished and it was good. It's the worst season so far, but it doesn't mean it's bad. I still think there's a lot there that's good and makes me really excited for next season. So firstly, we'll establish the new characters at the table. So we got Firecracker. She doesn't, I don't even know if she has any powers or not, but she's cool. It's also Kara from Detroit Become Human, if anyone cares. We have Sister Sage. She's like the smartest person in the world. She's probably one of the best characters in the show. Is there any more? There's Jeffrey Dean Morgan's new character. I think his character is really cool as well. But overall, the new characters that they're introduced are pretty intriguing. None of them are one note. I think Firecracker might be the least favorite out of them all. I think Sister Sage is probably my favorite because you never know what she's gonna do. We'll jump straight to the pros and cons. So the pros, any pros really, are just from like character performances. I think Homelander in this season really shines again as usual. But there's like one episode that's almost dedicated to him that I think is probably the best episode of the season. Other character performances, weirdly enough, Huey's dad has a really good episode. Obviously it's Simon Pegg, and he's gonna give a good performance, but I didn't expect that character to have a decent performance in this show. Another pro is that some of the story beats are really enjoyable. I think there's a few story elements that I can get behind. The finale was one of the bigger ones. Cons, there's one story in particular that kind of just falls short. It starts off really well, but it just kind of dwindles off in the end. And then when it does end, it's kind of lame. I think they should have gone a different route with it, but it is what it is. Another con is that it feels too much like a setup season. For obviously, season 5 is the last season, so it feels too much like a setup to that season. And some other characters are just not as enjoyable as others on screen. Obviously, Huey, all the main are pretty okay, but then Firecracker, she's okay near the start, but near the end, yeah. Um, Starlight is another one. She doesn't really do anything the whole season, but there's some stuff that happens at the end. I think one of my favorite characters actually this season is MM. I think his arc throughout the season is actually really enjoyable. It's nice. It's cool to see where his character could go. Another really good arc is A Trains. A Trains is really good in this season as well. It's definitely the weakest season, which is a shame. But I think that's because it does feel too much like a setup season, and that's not to like back it up and like that as if that's a good reason for it to be the weakest season. I don't like. There's obviously other good setup seasons of different shows, but it does feel too much like a setup season here, which is a shame. Obviously, best performances, Homelander is like the GOAT as usual. I think he's what brings me back to this show every season. Every time he's on screen, you never know what he's gonna do because he's that fucking good of an actor and probably the best written character. The finale was actually decent. I think, in my opinion, it's probably the most enjoyable finale out of them all. While there is some stuff in it that I wasn't a big fan of, I still think finale wise, I think it's probably my favorite, especially from last season's season three's finale wasn't that great in my opinion. But here it's okay, it's good. I'm hoping the finale of the final show of the actual show will be like the shit. There's stuff that's gonna go down. Yeah, I'm really excited for next season. There's a lot that could happen, that will happen. I don't really know where it could go. There's many paths that it could go. If I was to rate it out of 10, I'd probably give it 7 web weavers out of 10. I'm going to jump to spoilers now, so be warned. This is the spoiler alert. If you don't want to stay on the video any longer, just click off and leave. Last warning, spoiler alert, go. So, Amazon dropped the first 3 episodes straight away, and these few episodes weren't the greatest. I think they were probably the weakest of the season. However, a lot of people complained about this, but I honestly thought his arc was actually good at the start of the season. French's story at the start of the season was actually kind of intriguing. I don't know why there was so much hate against it. It was kind of cool to see Frenchie's backstory a little bit more. And this is in my opinion where his character shines this season, because the rest of the season, for like 2 episodes, is not even in it because he just gets himself arrested, and then they end the season on this really obvious story arc ending, which kind of pisses me off. Yeah, the first 3 episodes, I can't really remember like any major story beats that happen. Obviously, they Sister Sage gets on board early in the season, so we see her character come in pretty early. Firecracker's character comes in around about episode 2 or 3. We do see the new Black Noir. I kind of think it's funny the fact that they've got Black Noir talking now. But obviously, because he died last season, they've had to like hide his identity almost and replace him with someone else, which I thought was cool. Episode 4 is probably the best episode of the season. Homelander has like he goes to like the lab where he was made, and I think his performance and that whole episode is just traumatizing. It is fucking ruthless. Episode 5, I can't really remember what happens in episode 5. I think it was the farm episode. It was okay. That was probably one of my weakest episodes of the season. It was cool to learn that the virus was still being made and stuff. Episode 6 is the most disgusting boys episode I think I've ever watched. Web Weaver, Tech Knight. That's all I need to say. It was fucking wrong in so many ways. Probably, yeah, that is the most disgusting boys episode I've ever watched, and that's saying a lot. Episode 7. Oh, this is where you find out that the shapeshifter is Starlight. Well, Starlight's been kidnapped by the shapeshifter, and the shapeshifter has taken over Starlight, which is kind of fucked up. Butcher is kind of just losing it at this point. They're trying to find a way. Butcher's just trying to find a way to get Ryan to team up and maybe kill Homelander. The finale, there's a lot of stuff here that I thought was okay. It ends really well, I think. So the main plot points here is that Butcher has fallen, like he's actually hospitalized at this point. The illness has got to him that much. This is where it gets kind of messy. So they try and like get Ryan to be on their side, but they try and trap him in a room, and it just obviously fucking backfires on him. And then Grace's character ends up dying, and Butcher's like, "Oh, last resort." But Butcher's gone at this point. They're all like panicking, trying to get out of the country. Newman calls Huey, being like, "I need your help because I think I'm gonna die from Homelander." She doesn't want to be controlled by Homelander when she's president, which is understandable because it's fucking Homelander. It's fucking terrifying. But and then we get this like awkward standoff moment. Butcher comes in out of nowhere with his new parasite tentacle powers and just rips Newman apart. I think these powers are kind of weak. I wish they probably just stuck with his Temp V powers, which was like kind of this exact same as Homelander, because I think that would be cool. The fact that like kind of reflects Butcher's mentality at this point. So Butcher was so against the soups in the first season that so much that he's become one in the last season just to kill him. I think that would be really enjoyable. Well, that's what they have done that, but it's cool to see that Butcher would have the same powers as Homelander. Butcher's literally just turning into Homelander, and he is kind of a dickhead that you find out in this season. You find out a lot of stuff that went on with his wife, which is kind of fucked up. Kimiko and Frenchie, I didn't enjoy this in the last episode. It felt unnecessary. It felt like the obvious. I would rather their relationship was more like brother and sister, and are like bonded over the fact that they had similar backstories and stuff. And obviously the sign language. But I think their whole arc in the last episode felt weird. It felt very planted. Yeah, after Newman dies, the episode ends in this crazy, weird way. All the boys meet up in an area. They all get given a new passport, and are all trying to leave the country. And then they all quickly get found and get captured. So Kimiko and Frenchie get caught by 2 characters from Gen V. I can't really remember their names, but that all goes down, and this is where we see Kimiko speak for the first time. Again, The fact that she's speaking only because of Frenchie kind of pisses me off. I'm like, it felt unnecessary. I'm not a big fan of them two being a couple. I don't think it makes any sense really. It made sense in season 3 because that's where it felt like it was going, but here it felt like they were more brother and sister at the start of the season, and it sort of came out of nowhere near the end. Huey and Starlight get captured, and this one feels kind of the weakest. Huey gets captured. Huey sort of nods to Starlight, and Starlight just absolutely blasts off into the sky after having no powers for the whole season. So that one felt unrewarded almost. It felt like plot armor. Gets fucking beaten up by the fucking long penis guy. He gets captured, and it ends with Butcher obviously doing some shit in with Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character in the background. I thought that plot twist was kind of cool. I thought it was really predictable, but it was like cool. I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as an actor, so seeing him be more of the villain type again here is really nice. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a very good villain in like anything he plays. So seeing him as the Fight Club version of Butcher was kind of cool. Yeah, overall the season was okay. I'd probably just give it a good. It was definitely the weakest of the show, which is a shame again. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye.